Hey guys, this is Steve with Team Junkyard Dog, and today I'm going to be walking you step by step on how to build your Axis half-pound combat robot for those epic home battles. Without any further delay, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, so now we are getting ready to build this Axis kit. First thing, this is everything that's going to come in your kit. You're going to get your plastic or printed parts right here. You're going to have a hardware bag. You're going to have a charger for your battery. You will have the battery. You're also going to have the servo. You have your core 6.0 and you have your controller. So the first thing I would do is open everything up, get everything organized to where it's easy to find your screws and parts, just like this. And there you go. I have everything laid out. The way I do it is I've got my plastic parts here, my tools here, my set screws here. This is a bag, this is a bag, this is a bag, bag, so on and so forth. I have my core, my remote control, my servo, everything on the sides here. Just where everything is laid out and I can see everything that I need at any given time. So step number one is we're going to take our wedge base right here and we're going to get rid of these little tabs that have the X's on it. Those are support material that need to be removed. Just use your thumb and push them forward and you can snap those right off and just put those off to the side. Second, we're going to take our servo housing. That's going to be this piece right here. And if you notice on the end of the servo housing, there is a screwdriver that basically imprinted in, and then there's a little hole right there. What that means is you take your screwdriver and you slide it into that hole and you can just pry up and down, just kind of work it back and forth to pop that piece out. And then we're going to take our tires and you can see there's like a little hexagon in here. We're going to pop out the centers of these tires just like so. And now we're going to step two. Step two, the first thing we're going to do is assemble these wheels here. You're going to take one of the wheel hubs and we will fit it on to the wheel. Make sure that the hexagon matches the hexagon. You don't want to have it cattywampus, or you want to make sure everything is lined up. And we will do that for both wheels, just like so. And now we're going to take our wheel gear and we're going to press those onto the wheels. They do have flat sides on the gear and the wheel, so make sure that you spin it until it drops on. And once it's lined up, push it all the way down until the top is flush. Just like that. So now we're going to set these to the side. We're going to get out our lifter linkage and our servo horn. We're also going to need an M3 by 12, which is going to be this guy right here. And what we're going to do is, you can see this has a B on it. We're going to turn it to where the B is down. We want the servo horn facing upwards. You're going to take your M3 by 12 and drop it through the chamfered side, just like this. And then you're going to screw it into the outermost hole on the horn right here. And we will just screw that in. It's okay to snug it up, get it tight. Make sure you still have free movement, however. And it is on the first, second, third hole, furthest out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find our wheel guard. So this is what your wheel guard looks like. If you look on the bottom of your wheel guard, there is a hex right there. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these M3 nylock or an M3 lock nut like this, and you're going to put it face down into that hex. And then you're going to take your linkage with your M3 and you're going to screw that on too. Basically, you're just using the wheel guards as a wrench. And you just screw that on until it bottoms out, until it starts to get tight. Once it gets tight, you can take it out and you can set the wheel guard to the side. And this is what it should look like once completed. So now we're going to set this to the side. We are going to grab our left drive rail. It is indicated with an L. We're also going to have our right one. So we are going to get a drive axle. It is the bronze piece. And we're going to get one of these little M3 by 8 screws that have the thread lock. They are in the same bag as the drive axles. And what you do is, your drive axle has 2 flat sides on it. You're going to align it with the flat sides in your left drive rail. And you just insert it. Then you're going to flip it over and drop your M3 into the chamfered hole. Then you're going to just tighten that up. And snug it up nice and good. It already has Loctite on it. And now we're going to repeat that for the right side. We will take an axle. We're going to drop it in to the hole, flip it over, drop in one of the M3 by 8s, and we're going to screw that in. And now we have our 2 drive shafts installed, and we will set these to the side. For the next step, we're going to need our lifter arm. We're going to need our right and left lifter forks, and we're going to need our self-righting arm, the red piece and the 3 white pieces. So first we're going to take the self-righting arm. That is going to go into the top of the lifter arm. You can see you have 2 square holes right there. You put the pegs in the holes. Once you do that, you're going to flip it over. And we're going to use the two of the M2.5 by 6 plastite screws. And we're going to drop them down to secure the self-righter. When you screw these in, don't go crazy tight. Once they snug up and start to get tight, stop tightening. You don't want to strip out the plastic, weakening your robot. And once we have those in, this is what it should look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fork. Now this is the right fork as indicated by the R, so it's going to go on the right side of the lifter arm. You do have a box here with a square right here, so you will insert these into each other and snap it on. And then you will snap on your left fork on the opposite side. And now we must insert 4 M2.5 by 6 screws, 2 on this side and 2 on this side, to secure our forks. And as always, make sure your stuff is tight, but don't over tighten it to the point that you are stripping out the plastic. If you strip out the plastic, you're going to weaken the part, therefore weakening your robot. So I like to say just screw it in and tighten it until you take all the wiggle out of it. Once everything's nice and secure, you're good to go. And this part is now complete. And we're going to set this lifter assembly to the side. Now we're going to take our servo housing, which is the big yellow piece. It does have the little design on the side here. And we're going to grab our servo. Now what you want to do is, you're going to see that there is a slot back here. You want to feed your servo wire from the inside of the robot. You want to go down the top right here and hook it up. And I'm going to just put a little bend in the wire to make it easier. And you want to hook it up through this part right here to where your plug comes out the top. So you want to bring it through like this. And then you're going to turn your servo, the front of the servo facing into the servo mount. And we're going to pull this out a little bit and slide this in. And this is what it should look like once it's inserted. Now you do have a cavity back in here. You can stuff the excess wire into the back right here. And then you will take your servo wire and tuck it underneath the little groove as a form of wire management. So your wires are just not flopping everywhere and getting pinched inside the robot. And there you go. So at this point, we're going to get another one of the M3 lock nuts. And we're going to insert it on the back side of the servo. You can see that there is a hex imprint right here. And we're going to drop it down in there. Just like so. Once that nut is in there, so we're going to take our servo wire protector. You can see the arrow is facing up. And you want to set it on top of your servo. Just like this. The slots should align with the servo. You will have a small gap in the back right here, so it will fit on just like so. And then we're going to take 2 M2.5 by 6 plastite screws, the little silver ones. And you will drop them in the holes. One there and one up there. And then we're going to tighten those up. And that's what it looks like once it's in. Now we're going to set this piece to the side. We're going to grab our core. This is where all your drive motors and receiver and bulk of your electronics are. And the first thing we're going to do is we have to set up our little dip switches right there. So I like to orientate this like so, where I can see the word on and KE, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. For number 1, you're going to make sure that number 1 is flipped up. Number 2, you want it flipped down. It already is by default. Number 3, you want to flip up. And number 4, you want it flipped down. So it will be up, down, up, down. So now we're going to grab our right and left drive rails. It's the 2 pieces with the drive axles. And we are going to connect them to the core. We're going to take our core and you're going to orientate the core to where you have the pins facing up. This is the bottom. This is the top. You want to make sure that the white box is on the left side. And then you're going to take your right hand drive rail and you're going to attach it to your core. So the way I like to do this, we're going to need 2 M2 by 6 for each side. So we will have 4 of these in total. This is what the tiny little fellow looks like. And what I like to do is I'm going to drop one of the M2 screws in the right side in the back hole. Just drop it down in there. Then I'm going to hold it in with my screwdriver to where it's exposed out of the back. And then I'm going to take my core and I'm going to align it with the top hole right here and just kind of rotate it and get that screw started. Once I get that screw started, I'm going to hold the bottom of the drive rail flush with the core. And I'm going to drop in the other M2 by 6. And I just push down on it with my screwdriver until I get the hole lined up. I kind of wiggle it till it drops in. And then we're going to tighten these up. Do make sure these are nice and snug. As with everything else, you don't have to go caveman, but you do want to make sure that it's tight. And then we're going to repeat the process for the other side. This is the side that looks like an N. The inside will get the left side. And we're going to drop this on top, just like so. And we will drop in our M2 by 6. Get it started in the hole. Once you get the first one started, the second one is much easier. You can just drop it down in there. And I just kind of wiggle it a little bit until it drops down in. And then we're going to tighten these up. And when you get finished, this is what it should look like. You should have your spikes pointing up the same way that your wires would be coming out. So for the next step, we're going to take our drive gears and we're going to drop them over the core axles. The core axles are the silver ones. You can see that these also have flat sides on them. So what I like to do is I just drop them down in the hole with the gear part facing up. And I just rotate it with my finger until it drops in place. And then I'll hold this down with this finger. I rotate it to this side. I drop in the other one. Repeat the process. Once that's done, we're ready to attach our wheels. So you take your wheel, you drop it on top of the bronze axle and spin it until it aligns with the gear. And then we're going to take these little guys right here. This is an M3 by 4 millimeter screw. It's just, the head is as wide as the screw is tall. And I like to connect that to the end of my screwdriver. The screwdriver is magnetic for this. And you just line it up and tighten it up. You can snug it up pretty good. Don't go crazy. Then we'll flip it over and repeat with the left wheel. And there we go. And these screws do already have Loctite on them, so you don't have to worry about that. So up next is going to be your battery installation. Now on your battery, you do have 2 plugs. You have a balance plug, which contains 3 wires. And then you have the power connector, which has 2 wires. Each connector has a clip on one side, and you can see the silver connectors on the other side. So first we are going to connect the power connector. Looking at the robot, this is right here, the front side. This is the back side. You want to take your power connector. You want the little clip facing towards the front of the robot, and you're going to slide it into the white slot on the core. And you're just going to slide it in like that. What I like to do is once I get it started, I'll just take my screwdriver and push it down until it clicks in, just like so. Now, if you look on the inside of your right drive rail, there's an indent and a cutout here. That cutout is for your balance plug. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can see the 3 silver connectors. They're going to be coming towards the inside of the robot, just like this. And you're going to slide this into the slot and press it in flush. This is now going to be your charger port. This is how you're going to charge your robot. And once you get it in, that's what it looks like right there. And now we're going to rotate it, and we're going to bring our battery down to the front, just like this. And now we're going to grab our wedge base. Our wedge base has the actual battery tray right here. This is where your battery is going to rest. So you just slide this on, and when you're sliding this on your drive rails, you do have a little like triangle right there, and you also have an insert right here, so it is indexed. So it does make it easy to align. You just drop it on, push your robot into the wedge base on both sides, and then you push it up as far as it will go. And when you look on the bottom, the green part of your chassis should be butted up against your wedge base. So now we're going to take 2 more of the M2.5x6, the small silver ones that you have the most of, and you're going to drop them into the 2 inner holes right here, one on each side. One right there, one right there, and we're going to tighten these up. Off to the next step. So now we're going to put the servo assembly onto the robot. It's very important that you pay attention to where the servo is plugged in and how it is plugged in. The way I like to orientate it is I have about maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches of cord sticking out from the servo assembly. The color on the wire is going brown, red, and then orange. And this is how it's going to go into the robot. Now you want to look in the core. You see 2 sets of pins. You have 3 towards the front of the robot on this side, and you have 3 towards the back of the robot. You want to plug into the 3 on the back side of the robot, these 3 back here. So what I do is I just take my servo wire and I push it down over those pins, just like this. I can just line it up and push it down. Once I get them started, I just take a screwdriver and push those in until they seat into the bottom. You can see that it's in the 3 in the back of the core towards the back of the robot. You do want to make sure that all your wires are tucked underneath your battery too, just so they're not in the way. Now I can just take this and set the servo assembly on top of the robot. And you just want to push it down to a nice firm fit. The yellow should be up against the gray in the back, and in the front, the yellow should be flush with the orange. So now we're going to take another M2.5x6 plastite screw, and we're going to connect it to our screwdriver. We're going to go through the front of the wedge base into the servo assembly, just like that. And then we're going to rotate this to the side, and where the right drive rail is, there's a hole up here. Drop another M2.5x6 plastite in there, and we're going to screw that down. And then on this side right here, we're going to go into this hole right here with another M2.5x6, the little tiny silver ones. We'll get that screwed in. And now our servo assembly is installed. So now it's time to install our lifter arm. And so we're going to rotate it. The self-righting arm goes to the back of the robot. You do have a hole for your hinge right here. That is going to go into the top of the servo assembly, just like this. And then we're going to take an M3x35. If you remember earlier, we did put a nut inside of here. So we're going to slide this through this hole right here. And then we're going to take the provided Allen wrench, and we're just going to screw that in. Now it's very critical that you do not go crazy and over tighten this screw. If you hear cracking or popping, you've definitely gone too far. So you just want to tighten it until it snugs up. As soon as it starts to get a little bit hard, you can stop. It is a nylock nut. It should not vibrate out. And you do want to make sure that you have nice free movement with your lifter arm. For the next step, what we need to do, we're going to take our controller and we're going to install batteries because we do need to power up the robot at this point. We got to center our servo. So we're going to put in our batteries. We are going to hold down the power button on our controller until it starts flashing red. Once it's flashing red, turn your robot over and you're going to turn your switch on in the back. It'll be flashing blue. Once it goes solid, it is now paired with that controller. So paying very close attention to the arrows. This is why these arrows and indicators are on here for this particular part of the build. The H button on your controller is what's going to control your flipper. So you want to hit the H button and watch this little bronze gear right there. And you can see that it just turned counterclockwise. If I hit it again, it goes clockwise. If I hit it again, it goes counterclockwise. So you want to hit it, and when it goes clockwise and stops, that is the set position. It's really important to make sure that this is in the right position. Once that is in the right position, you can go ahead and power off the robot, and you can power off your controller. Okay, so once your servo is centered, you do want to take your servo horn like so, and you want to make sure that the arm stays within the two gray lines right there. So you want your arm to be within those two gray lines. So you're going to put your servo horn on, push it down, and as long as the arm is in the middle somewhat, if it's slightly off to one side or the other, it's fine as long as it's not crossing the silver lines. Now we're going to take an M3x8. It does have thread locker on it, and we are going to use it to attach the servo horn in this side right here. Make sure you get it nice and tight. Okay, so moving to 7-4, we're going to get one of these M2.5x10s, and we're going to put it on our screwdriver. And then what we're going to do is we are going to align this up. Basically, we have to align the slot up on this gray arm with the hole, the little red hole right there. And then we're going to drop our screw in and tighten it up just like so. Now you want to tighten this up to get it, you want the head of the screw fully inset into the arm, but you don't want to tighten it up so much that it actually binds up. So double check it as you're tightening it. Make sure you have a little bit of wiggle, but you don't want it to fall out, and just adjust it to make sure you have nice free movement. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our rear armor. We're going to turn the robot upside down, and we are going to slide our rear armor over the top. You do see you have a couple dovetails right here, and you have your connections in the back, and you just push this down all at once. And you want to make sure everything is nice and flush. Do push it into place before you screw it down. As you can see, all these surfaces are now level with each other. Then we're going to take 4 of the M2.5x6 screws, and we're going to drop them into these 4 holes. You have hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, and hole 4 to secure your rear armor. We're going to go ahead, get those tightened in, just like that. Now we're going to take this piece. This is called the right side decoration. If you look on the right side of the bot, this side the servo arm is on, you have a little opening right there, square opening, and you just take this piece and you drop it in. You can only go in one way. You might have to pull your servo up out of the way to get it in. That's all right. It will slide in like that. Once you get in, you can push the servo arm back down. You're going to flip the bot upside down. Then you will take a single M2.5x6 plastite screw, and you will drop it into this hole right there, securing the right side decoration. This just kind of hides and protects that side servo right there. And at that point, your robot is now fully complete and ready for battle. Now when you do go to charge your robot, this is your charge port now. That was that balance plug. So you will take your charge cord and you want to make sure that you just plug it in this way. It should only go in one way, and then you plug this into a USB Type-C. And happy battles. All right, so congratulations, you made it to the end. Here is your Axis robot. It looks quite nice. You did a great job. I wish you luck on all those home battles and do enjoy your new half-pound combat robot.